Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to your KITS Mobile Webinar Wednesday. My name is Franklin, and I'm the Product App Specialist for KITS and your webinar host. This is where you learn the tips and tricks to becoming that supercharged power user.
All right, so before we get started and jump into syncing, I just want to mention a couple resources that we have available to you online. Our KITS Knowledge Center is always up and available if you want to visit it for tutorial posts, upcoming webinars, manufacturers that are available if you want to request access. All those fun things are on the KITS Knowledge Center. And if you are interested in knowing which manufacturers are available on your KITS app and which ones you can request access to, that is also available on the KITS Knowledge Center. So you can see the full list, and then you can fill out a quick form to pick which manufacturers you want to have on your catalog subscription screen.
So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the sync feature and the best practices that you should go through for syncing your iPad and making sure that your kit is updated at all times and your content is also updated as well. Julia will go over the agenda.
So today we're going to be going over your iPad requirements, what you need for optimal settings, so that includes Wi-Fi and your auto lock function. Then we're going to be showing you the catalog subscription screen, and we're going to be going over the navigation bar, the content list, what is a publisher, what are radio buttons, how do I sync, how do I unsync, all those questions that you might have, how to manage your content. We're going to be covering that all today. Also, we had a couple questions come in about what iPad is the best for kits, the storage level, what's appropriate for all these catalogs. We have a great article on our Knowledge Center that kind of dives into iPads for kits and what will work best. Depending on how much content you're going to be having on your iPad, like movies and music, it really depends on how you're using your app and how you're using your iPad of what gigabytes to have on as storage. But check out the article. It's a easy read, and you can see kind of different tips on how to optimize your kits experience. But now let's jump into it. Before we start, we're going to make sure everyone's connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi. That's what we highly recommend. So public Wi-Fi's, personal hotspotting, they won't really cut it when you're syncing catalogs. That's the most important part. You need to connect to a strong, stable Wi-Fi when you're syncing. But if you're sending emails to your client through kits, hotspotting or public will be a little bit better for you. Also, make sure you set your iPad's sleep and lock function to never or delayed as long as possible. Franklin's showing you on screen where you can get those settings. So we highly recommend you set these to never to ensure your syncing does a full complete sync, so nothing is interrupted. The features in kits are in-app only, so you must remain in kits while you're syncing for everything to go through. So with that, Franklin will continue with the webinar.
All right, thanks for that, Julia. Again, just to add to what Julia just mentioned, it's important that you understand that when you're connecting to our cloud, you need to be connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi because the data that you may be syncing can be quite large. I can't tell you how large the content is, let's say a manufacturer's catalog. However, depending on the manufacturer, I mean, they could have 1,000 or they could have 10,000 items available to download. So be sure to make sure you go over the sync rules, and away we go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up my kits. And as you all know, when you open up the kits, you open up to the project gallery screen. So for all you new users out there, this is basically where you're going to start when you open up your kits mobile app. Now, first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and tap on the sync link to get to the catalog subscription screen. So an important thing that Julia actually mentioned earlier was that all the features in kits are done in-app only. This is our #1 requirement, and the reason being is kits doesn't work in the background. So when you're syncing and when you're connected to that strong and stable Wi-Fi, you need to make sure that you maintain in the app at all times, making sure the iPad also doesn't sleep, because if it does, or if you navigate out of the app, what you actually do is you stop the process, okay? It doesn't ruin the data. However, the information going to your iPad may get slightly corrupted, and you may not have full information. If that happens, all you have to do is run a sync again, and it will reconnect to our cloud. And again, just make sure that you're connected to your a strong and stable Wi-Fi when you do so. All right. So here is the catalog subscription screen. At the very top, we have what we call the navigation bar, which will allow you to do certain features and functions. In this case, everything has to do with the actual syncing of the content that's available to you. All right. Again, if you're new, we also have an online tutorial button, which you can tap on. Here again, you need to be connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi to access the videos. Kits is intuitive. It'll recognize where you are in the app, and it'll bring up that tutorial first. However, you do have a bunch of other videos at the bottom that you can also preview. All you have to do is flick up and down until you find the one that you wish to preview. Tap on it, and what Kits will do is it'll bring up that tutorial as well as a brief description. All you have to do is hit the big play button in the middle and make sure that your audio is up, because there is audio. All right, so here we are again in the catalog subscription screen. This is where you manage the content that's available to you. All right, so what you have available to your license is normally a primary user. That could be a major manufacturer that you're affiliated with, as well as all open market manufacturers associated to your license as well. All right. My screen looks obviously different than yours, and that's because I have full administrative access to all the content that we have available to Kits, as well as that is pending publication. Okay. On the left-hand side, we have the publisher list, or what we call as the manufacturer list, and on the right-hand side, we have the content that's available to you from that particular manufacturer. Or in this case, because I am currently selected on planning typicals, here you can see I have all the planning typicals that are available to me based on the manufacturers that I have access to. All right. So the question is, what is the difference between the manufacturer's content as opposed to the planning typicals that you see here on my screen? The manufacturer's content is provided by the manufacturer. They send us the data on a recurring basis. It could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be yearly. All right, every manufacturer is different, and not all manufacturers go through the same conversion process or same updating process. In this case, what happens is the manufacturer will send us the data. This is the same data that the spec tools that you're already used to using, such as 2020, Project Matrix, CET, Configura, Z-Axis, as well as Giza. This is the same data that these spec tools actually use. There's no difference in the data that they receive from the data that we receive. So the reason why I mentioned that is because it's important to understand that when you do see issues with the data, it's great to let us know so that we can refer back to the manufacturer to making sure that they correct those issues. Okay? So again, what the manufacturer does is they'll send us the data, and all we do is we convert it. We have a 24/7 conversion team that actually works with the manufacturer's data, making sure that everything is up and running in Kits. What they do is they take it, they throw it into their process, and what that does is it converts the data so that it can be accessible and work for our tool. All we do is we take it and we change the sheer size of it so that we can use it in Kits. We do nothing to fix the data. This is very important, and the reason being is because if we make any changes to the data on our side, this may affect how the data is transferred to the spec tools that you use to specify your projects. All right? So what we try to do is we try to make sure that we maintain consistency across the board so that the data that you receive in Kits and use in Kits is also the same data that you see and use when you specify your project in, let's say, CAP Design or Worksheet 2020. Okay? All right. So again, the manufacturers provide us that data, and what we do is we just convert it so it's usable in Kits. The planning typicals are a little bit different. The planning typicals are provided by the content creation team, which I manage. What we do is we try to create a synergy between the manufacturer and the resources that they provide users. And what we try to do is we try to make sure that those resources are also available through Kits, such as pre-configured typicals. So these planning typicals are, again, pre-configured typicals that we create. This way, what it does is, one, it connects you with the same resources that the manufacturer provides. Two, it also gives you the option to quickly ideate with your client. because, again, these are pre-configured typicals. It really eliminates the time it may take for you to build a particular scene. This way you can actually look at the typicals through the presentation views in KITS, and you can quickly ideate with your client. All right. So again, what we do is we try to stay current with the typicals, and we try to update them as the catalogs are updated by the manufacturer. Anytime a manufacturer updates their catalogs, the information for those typicals is also updated. Okay, so KITS will always use the most current updated catalog that's available. In case you need to access an older catalog, let's say you're working on a project that basically has a 3-year period in terms of when the actual pricing ends or is limited to. What you can do is see if the manufacturer has price zones available, okay? And price zones we'll talk about in another segment. However, if you do join us tomorrow for the free training day, I will go over quickly what price zones are, all right? So again, planning typicals are created by our content creation team, and the manufacturer catalogs are provided by the manufacturer, all right? So if you have any issues with the typicals that you see, please contact KITSsupport. And what that'll do, and what they'll do is they will send that out to my team, and we'll make sure that we take a look at any issues that you may be experiencing with the typicals. All right. Now, managing the content is quite easy, and the reason why we say manage your content is you don't necessarily have to download all the content that's available to you. One, you can limit the actual storage space on your iPad. Again, I can't tell you how much space it actually takes because every manufacturer is different. And two, again, the idea is that you can access the manufacturers on the fly as long as you have a good Wi-Fi or stable Wi-Fi connection. To select the manufacturer, all you have to do is flick up or down on the manufacturer side. Here, I'm just going to quickly go to Allsteel. I'm going to tap on Allsteel. And immediately on the right-hand side, what you see is the content refresh showing you all the catalogs that are available by Allsteel, as well as the catalog codes. If you're old school like me, you'll be used to using these catalog codes. They will also appear on the right-hand side. Here under Allsteel, you can see they provided us 20 catalogs, in which 3 I've currently downloaded in blue. Okay. What we see here under the catalogs, or in the catalog list side, is basically the list of which catalogs I've currently downloaded to my iPad, right? And you can see those catalogs right over here with the big blue check mark, checked, indicating that that catalog has been downloaded down to the iPad. Now, the great thing is you don't always have to be connected to the Wi-Fi after you receive the content, after you fully receive the content that you subscribe to. The reason being is that data gets retained or stored in your iPad. All right. So whenever you need to access, for instance, Allsteel seating in this case, you just have to go through KITS into the seating catalog, and you'll be able to access all the symbols and all the content that is available in the seating catalog. You don't need to be connected to a Wi-Fi in order to do so. The only time you need to be connected to a Wi-Fi, especially when you're syncing anything, is when you're actually syncing content. Once the content is on your iPad, it remains on your iPad. Right? So here we have the catalog list. And under the catalog list, we have what we call as the status notification line. And the status notification line will indicate whether or not the content is available for download, has already been downloaded, or has an update pending. All right? What you see on the left-hand side of the catalog is a radio button, which allows you to select that particular catalog. If you look down under seating, you can see I have this catalog already, and I have a blank status notification line indicating that I already have this download. I already have this catalog synced to my iPad. If I tap on seating, you can see what it does is it prompts some detailed information regarding the actual catalog. It gives me the release date, the release version, as well as the type of file that it is. All right. If I were to tap on, let's say, Stride just below that, here you can see what it prompts is basically no information. And that's because, of course, the download is available. Okay, I haven't synced that particular catalog to my iPad yet. When you need to select a catalog, all you have to do is tap on the radio button left of the actual catalog name, and that will get added to this invisible sync list. Okay, this invisible sync list is basically just a list of all the content that you wish to sync at that time. All right. Now, because there are limitations to certain Wi-Fi environments, what we suggest and recommend is that you sync no more than 3 items at a time. And the reason being is because it really depends on the items that you're syncing. If there's a lot of content, it may really bog up your time. And if your iPad is set to, let's say, a 15-minute delay for the auto lock function, your iPad may sleep on you, or you may be, again, just watching your iPad sync for a very long time. So again, sync no more than 3 items at a time. You should be able to sync completely those items, let's say, within 10 minutes. We've done this on a full range of different scenarios. So again, as a best practice, what you should do is sync no more than 3 items at a time. All right. So once that particular item is selected, it gets added to that invisible sync list. However, if I need to add any other catalogs from any other manufacturer, I can certainly do so. Or even if I wish to sync a planning typical, I can certainly do so by navigating to that category and selecting one of the items from that list. Okay. The only time the list is dispersed is when you complete the sync or when you close your iPad. All right. Now, the other way, the other notification that the catalog subscription will detail is whether or not you have an update available. And as you can see here under my ArcoBell Planning Typical, in red, it indicates update is available. Now, this is an in-app feature only. Kits will only notify you of any pending update when you're using Kits. You'll either see it here in the catalog subscription screen, or you'll see it here. I'm just going to go back into the project gallery screen in the notification bell. Okay, and here in the notification bell, you can see that it indicates one, indicating that I have a pending item to download. If I tap on that notification bell, here you can see what it's actually telling me is that I have updates to subscribed catalogs that is currently available. All right. To sync, all I have to do is tap on Sync Now, and that will automatically sync any content that's, that has an update to it. It'll automatically sync it to my iPad. All right, let's go back into the catalog subscription screen. So here again, anytime you tap on the sync link, what it actually does where it says retrieving synchronization status is Kit is actually connecting to our cloud, and it's letting us know that you're trying to access our cloud and you're trying to look at content that you have available to you, right? What this does is, in case there's any kind of update to your account on our cloud, let's say a peer has shared a project with you, Kits will then connect that project to your iPad, and it'll make it ready for you to sync down to your iPad. Again, you'll be notified of any pending projects ready to be updated to your iPad only through the notification bell in the project gallery screen. Okay. To remove any catalogs, all you have to do is simply tap on the catalogs you wish to remove, and what that does is it adds it to, again, this invisible remove list. Okay, and what that does is if you have content that you are just about to sync and content that you're looking to remove, once you tap on Sync Now, it begins the process to add those catalogs and to remove the ones currently on your iPad. All right. Again, the idea here is that you can manage the content that's available to you, so you don't necessarily have to take or download all the content that's available. Just keep in mind that when you do so, when you download all that content, when there is an update, and if there's an update for every every single manufacturer. You'll be sitting in front of your iPad for some time, making sure that you get updated to the most current update that's available. All right. It's not a bad thing. It's just something for you to be aware of. Okay. Now, what I always suggest as a best practice, what you should do is every morning when you come in, before you actually get your coffee or tea or set up your breakfast, before you check those emails of all those sales that you're going to make, what you should do is just run a sync. Okay? This way, it ensures that, one, you stay connected and you stay updated, and two, you don't have to do this, at all during the day. You'll always have the most current update. And in case, if you're like me and you work with a lot of peers and you share a lot of projects, it'll make sure that you have all those projects synced to your iPad. All right. So again, it's just a best practice, but you'll see what's the best way of actually syncing once you get used to integrating the tool into your workflow. Now, when you're running a sync, and let's say you're running a large sync, but you're running at a time, you need to get to that office, you need to get to that sales meeting, what you can do is you can tap on cancel, and what cancel does is it cancels the current sync. It doesn't retain any information. What it does is it rolls back your iPad to the state prior to when you hit sync now. Okay, so it doesn't retain the information, and the reason why is because Kits will always want you to fully and completely sync the content at one time, so that so it ensures that you get the most current update, the most current data, and making sure that there's no issues with the data that's being synced down from our cloud. Again, our KITSsupport is great with any questions you may have with the sync process. You can certainly contact them at any time, and they'll get back to you with answers to your questions. So when you're ready to run a sync, all you have to do is tap on Sync Now, or if you're just opened your tool and you see that there's a notification here at your notification bell, all you have to do again is tap on that notification bell, and if you tap on Sync Now, that will automatically begin your sync process. Okay? Again, it's just a sure, quick way for you to sync, and you only get that option when you currently have items to sync down to your iPad. All right? Now, again, to understand the sync process, our sync is done in a two-stage process. The first stage is the data sync in progress, and what that does is it begins to sync the text data that's available to your iPad. Okay, this could be the pricing information, symbol description, manufacturer marketing descriptions that are associated to the symbols. It then reverts into a graphic sync in progress, which you see on the screen right now, and it gives you a progress bar, which tells you how many items you're currently syncing. Okay. Now, one thing to note is when you're in the data sync in progress, your iPad is locked, so you cannot do any other thing or any other process while the data sync is occurring. Now, when the graphic sync in progress begins, it releases your iPad. And the reason being is it will allow you to begin to build your project, pulling items down from the catalog that is currently syncing. This is an intuitive process that Kits allows you to do, because what it does is it recognizes where you are in the catalog, and it begins to pull those graphics as you need them. All right. Once the sync is done, you're complete. You can navigate out of the app, or you can go ahead and begin to create your project. It's up to you, but you can see that the synchronize is finished, and I won't have any issue if I were to do something else on another app, because I've now retained all that information or all that data that I've just wanted to sync. All right. And since the sync is complete now, I'm ready to go start that project, and I'm ready to start closing those sales. Thank you, the Kits community, for joining us every Webinar Wednesday. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and we hope you found it informative. So again, if you have any questions regarding today's webinar, you can easily contact us or contact KITSsupport with your questions, and we'll be sure to making sure that we contact you as soon as we can.